Wilson is ranting about Caitlin Clark maybe relocating to Europe. Asia, who denigrated Caitlin for her privilege, is now beginning to recognize the impact Caitlin has had on the WNBA despite her ridiculous entitlement. Asia believes she is the biggest draw and deserves to take over the move to ensure Caitlin continues in the WNBA. Asia thinks she should be receiving the limelight because she is the star, but Caitlin is the one who made the biggest impact on the league.
Entitled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is you get what you put in, and right now you are getting exactly what you deserve.
Let's face it, nobody valued Caitlin Clark before Wilson. Asia, although Asia presents herself as a kind person, she has recently demonstrated that, like the other WNBA players, she can be extremely envious. Asia knows deep down that she's not a huge draw, but she tries to portray it to the media because she won the MVP award. Odds to take the move. She will depart the WNBA in a little while, and no one will be talking about Asia like the years before. Asia, you're not fooling anybody.
Don't y'all want a greater profile? Don't y'all want more notoriety? Don't y'all want more hype?
This potential agreement took an unexpected turn when Asia Wilson intervened to thwart Clark's plans, but it might have opened the door for other WNBA players to consider international options and set a precedent for future generations of players.
Now, Asia Wilson was a more dominating player and deserved to be the MVP, and unanimous.
Wilson's intervention in the transaction was not merely a small annoyance. Rather, it was a conscious effort to prevent Clark from taking advantage of the chance. According to reports, Wilson, fresh off, who won the WNBA MVP award, thought she should represent the Euro League rather than Clark. This wasn't just about basketball or personal preference. Rather, it represented a deeper problem of rivalry and competition between two of the league's top stars. Wilson's WNBA title and status should have made her the most desirable candidate for European teams to consider, even though Clark was selected over her. Wilson's achievements probably seemed insulting to him personally. Asia's activities appear to be motivated by her perception that she should be given priority for foreign possibilities because she has already established herself as a dominant force in the WNBA. Some people still think Caitlin hasn't been targeted this season, even though Clark, who is still relatively new to the league, hasn't earned the right to steal the show from more seasoned players.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to it.
Wilson and Clark have already found themselves in direct rivalry over high-profile projects. The Nike incident suggested a developing rivalry between the two players, but the Europe controversy has escalated things by interfering to prevent Clark's international opportunity. Previously, Wilson allegedly attempted to sabotage Clark's Nike endorsement in an attempt to land the deal for herself. Wilson has demonstrated how fiercely cutthroat and intimate this rivalry has grown.
How do you miss an opportunity like that? How do you not capitalize? It doesn't make any sense at all. And playing the politics where, oh, we need to release Asia's shoe first. Well, no, it's not Caitlin's fault that you haven't done anything for Asia yet.
She probably anticipated getting more attention from supporters, sponsors, and international teams after receiving this MVP award. Given that Clark was a relatively new player, it felt unfair to Wilson to suddenly be at the center of discussions about the EuroLeague, but Clark's quick ascent has changed the narrative in a way that seems unfair to Wilson. Rather than applauding Wilson's accomplishments and treating her as the WNBA's most valuable player, fans and media outlets have turned their attention to Clark, which has led to a sense of competition that extends beyond the basketball court, with Wilson feeling that she must defend her position and stop Clark from seizing opportunities that she feels should be hers.
Caitlin Clark's the most valuable, most important person in the WNBA this year, and should have been unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Wilson's attempt to thwart Clark's arrangement with Europe is not a singular instance. Rather, it is part of a pattern of conduct that has developed over time. Although it's common for athletes to compete for lucrative endorsement deals, the way this rivalry has developed suggests that Wilson views Clark as a direct threat to her career. The Nike incident was an early indication of the growing tension between the two players for Clark. This rivalry can be traced back to an earlier conflict involving a potential endorsement deal with Nike. According to reports, Wilson attempted to thwart Clark's efforts to secure the deal in order to position herself as Nike's top WNBA representative instead. Wilson, an established basketball star, wasn't prepared to share the limelight by trying to thwart Clark's Nike deal, even though landing a deal with the company would have been a huge accomplishment, solidifying her position as one of the top names in the sport. Wilson showed that she was prepared to do whatever it took to keep her job. In addition to posing a threat to her status, Clark's quick ascent served as a reminder that the WNBA was evolving rather than welcoming this change. Wilson has made the decision to vie with Clark for possibilities, which has caused the gap to grow more intimate between them. Not only was she trying to safeguard her own interests by preventing Clark's deal with Europe, but she also wanted to make a statement to show everyone that she is still a formidable player and should be treated as such. At the core of this controversy is a more serious problem. Individual jealousy. Wilson's actions imply that her rivalry with Clark extends beyond professional competition. It's about the fight for relevance and recognition in a league that is changing quickly. Clark's arrival has upset the WNBA's dynamics, and Wilson, who was once at the top, is now competing for attention in unexpected ways.
Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment? And why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Why when Asia was releasing the shoe were we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Wilson was one of the NBA's biggest players before Clark joining the league, receiving honors and endorsements along the way. But Clark's entrance has changed the storyline suddenly. Clark is the one getting publicity, endorsement agreements, and fan support. This change has made it hard for Wilson to enjoy her achievements without feeling that her ascent is being eclipsed by Clark's. This jealousy is apparent in Wilson's remarks about Clark as well as in her behavior off the court. Wilson has implied in remarks that Clark had a simpler route to success, attributing her achievement to privilege rather than diligence. Wilson feels she deserves to be at the top, but these remarks show how frustrated she is that the attention has moved away from her.
Who was unanimous MVP, which, by the way, is the first unanimous MVP in the NBA or the WNBA to ever not make the finals, which is something else. Fans are they're gonna share that. It does not mean that we are misogynistic or we're just hating on Asia. No, it's just this is what happens when a team loses.
The dramatic drop in viewership when Caitlin Clark is not playing is one of the most obvious indicators of her impact on the WNBA. Although Clark has become a fan attraction, drawing in viewers who may not have previously followed women's basketball, the numbers reveal a troubling story. Even with elite players like Wilson still competing, fans tune out and engagement declines. Clark is more than just a gifted athlete. She is now essential to the league's rising prominence.
Reality. It wasn't what it is. The quality of basketball may have been up to snuff, and you had somebody as popular as Cheryl Swoops who had her own signature shoe, had to deal with Nike and all of this other stuff. But the bottom line is, very few people gave a damn.
Wilson and other elite players have kept up their strong play, but the lack of enthusiasm from fans exposes a harsh reality for Wilson. It takes more than just talent to attract attention. Despite her accomplishments, Wilson has failed to win over fans to Clark's distinct charm and style of play, even though the league has always produced talented players. It seems that many fans lose interest even when other stars like Wilson are performing at the highest level. As the league develops, it becomes evident that talent alone is insufficient to advance the game. Players must connect with fans, create memorable moments, and generate excitement, qualities that Clark possesses in abundance for Wilson. Clark's arrival brought different excitement that energized existing fans and attracted new ones. It has been challenging to accept that Clark is the main source of fan attention, which has fueled their rivalry.
They decide what they want to do. We can point out how wrong it is. We can point out that that's a reality that shouldn't be a reality. But what we can't do is say, this is what matters. That doesn't, when the audience was telling you no.
Some players feel ignored and undervalued as a result of the abrupt change in focus toward Clark, which has upset the league's dynamics. Rather than applauding Clark's accomplishments, these players have voiced their frustration, seeing her successes as a threat rather than a victory for women's basketball as a whole. This animosity has been visible on and off the court. While some of this is due to Clark's aggressive play, It also reflects the growing tension within the league as players irritated by her success seem determined to challenge her dominance even if it means engaging in physical play. As a result, Clark has become the most fouled player in the WNBA.
They also need to, I don't know if an apology is warranted to Caitlin Clark or they just need to, in general, do better.
The animosity for Clark also indicates a more serious problem. The inability to accept change. Many players have spent years developing their careers only to have Clark enter the league and become its face right away. This sudden change has caused jealousy and criticism, and rather than appreciating the good influence Clark has had on the league, some players concentrate on what they believe to be unfair treatment, specifically that Clark has gotten more attention and opportunities than they did when they were emerging.
Caitlin is amazing in and of herself. She's an incredible basketball player. I think I can say that she's great, and I can say that there are 143 women that helped get the league to this place that she could take it over the top, and it's okay. That's not an affront to anybody.
Despite the criticism she receives, Clark's impact and popularity have contributed to the notable advancements for WNBA players. Encourage measures that will benefit the league as a whole, such as raising salary and allowing players to travel in private aircraft. Many players' lives have been made easier by these developments, which have addressed long-standing complaints about pay and travel conditions. However, despite these contributions, Clark continues to receive criticism from other players in the league. Instead of recognizing the positive effects she has had, some players concentrate on their frustrations with her success, which feeds the rivalry and resentment toward her. It is difficult to ignore that Clark's influence has improved the lives of the very players who now criticize her. Without Clark, the league might not have received the increased attention and money that led to the introduction of private jets and higher salaries. But rather than appreciation, Clark has faced animosity and resentment, underscoring the complex dynamics within the WNBA. Wilson's choice to obstruct Clark's deal with Europe is arguably the most revealing illustration of the animosity and jealousy that exist within the WNBA.